A Love Letter for Eternity and Beyond. Summary. Mabel is a war veteran. She'd seen terrible things that she prayed her family would never have to. But her beloved wife, Kiyomi Nomori, more commonly known as the hero Miss Midnight, had been roped into a war that Mabel could have helped in had she been given information. Guilt ate her alive for months before she got to acceptance. This is about Mabel coping with the loss of her wife and a deep love for her lost one. Today was the second anniversary of Nomori Kayama's death, or rather, perhaps more preferably, Mabel's wonderful, loving wife, who didn't get the time she deserved to have. Oftentimes, she ended up here, at the cemetery looking at Nem's headstone, her favorite flowers in hand. The irony wasn't lost on her. Nem's favorite flowers were poppies, the flowers that grow in war zones. Mabel survived many missions and years of war, only to lose her love to one that she didn't know was happening. The thought always made her feel inadequate as her wife, being so insolent and trusting in that white rat to keep his word and tell her everything. A sigh slipped from Mabel's lips, now more often than not in a slight frown or solemn smile. Setting down the poppies gently, she sat beside the headstone, probably looking awfully odd, wearing a wedding dress and raincoat. Grief makes you do dumb things sometimes, and she'd be the first to admit that, especially as she sat there in the cold in a white wedding dress likely to stain if not for the raincoat. Leaning heavily against the headstone, it wasn't perfect, but being in the presence of Nem, even in this horrifying, god-awful situation, was comfort enough. Mabel stayed, probably for hours, sometimes humming, sometimes chattering about random everyday stuff. No one, if they were there, would have been able to miss the longing, love, and fondness that somehow never managed to leave her voice. At some point, she just sat quietly, tracing over the engraved name of her precious Nem. To the majority of the population, it'd definitely be an odd sight. A woman decked out in scars, buff from war, wearing a wedding dress and encased in a raincoat, murmuring to a grave and tracing letters as if they'd disappear. However, Mabel couldn't care less. This was time for her and Nem to be together, to love together, even if fleeting and one-sided. It was all right with her, knowing she'd reciprocate if she could. A few hours prior, she'd sat at the table, terrible penmanship and all, writing probably her last ever letter that Nem could see. It was as heartfelt and sappy as possible. The time passed quickly, and eventually she knew she'd have to go. Pressing a gentle kiss to the headstone, leaving the letter for Nem to see when she could, Mabel departed towards home, calm, somber, still utterly and permanently infatuated with Nem. It was an exhausting day. She missed being able to just get held, to be okay and loved by her dear and only Nem. But the day wore on, and Nomori lingered in the back of her mind as much as, if not more than, usual. Mabel could never forget her one true love, not in this lifetime, nor ever. This is what's written in the letter. My dearest Nem, my sweetest blessing, I couldn't sleep last night because I know you're not coming back. I'm not bitter anymore because I know what we had was real. If in some distant place in a future life we see each other again, I'll smile at you with all the joy I can humanly gather, and remember how we spent the summers and winters and every other season of our lives in each other's arms, learning from each other and growing in love. The best kind of love is the kind that you can feel, a warmth and ephemeral kind, that makes us reach for more, that gives us a fire in our hearts and minds of passion and happiness, that brings peace to our souls and gives us the things we never believed to be deserving of. That's what you've given me. That's what I hope to give to you forever. I miss you, and I love you, my dear, lovely wife, Nomori Kayama. Your life will be a cherished memory forever in my head until I see you once again. Whether it be at the gates of heaven or another life, please wait for me one more time, and I shall join you with every ounce of love I've ever had for you. I remember the taste of sunlight and kindness on your lips, the compassion and love in your beautiful eyes. Oh, I could stare at them forever. My dear, dear Nem. Oh, how wonderful a blessing you were. I could spend years and lifetimes just listening to your voice, staring into your eyes, peppering your face in those light little kisses that made you giggle, hearing you laugh, seeing you smile, anything beyond a beautiful nightmare or a crushing dream. My heart, body, soul, and mind belong truly to you, my love. Nothing and no one can or will ever replace you. Until we meet again, my dearest adored and loved one. For eternity and beyond, yours, Mabel.